Here we have the minister.
Okay, wonderful. Minister, thank you for joining us. And just by way of introduction, my name is Alex Benjamin. I'm the Director of Public Affairs here at the European Jewish Association. We're delighted that you can take the time to talk to our many communities and participants from across Europe on such an important day, the 72nd anniversary of the independence of Israel. Minister Hanegbi, of course, needs little by way of introduction. He's currently the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, as well as the Minister of Regional Cooperation in Israel. Has held a number of portfolios as well under previous administrations, and whose parents, particularly his mother, was instrumental in the setting up and fighting for and standing up for Israel. So before I hand over to Tal Rabina, who will introduce the minister, our chairman, Rabbi Menachem Margolin, would like to welcome everyone to this online conference to celebrate Yom Haatzmaut. Rabbi Margolin, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining. It is already over 3,300 years ago when the Jewish people became a nation around the Mount of Sinai that we all received a responsibility and tools to be a nation that cares for the entire world. It is already then that we were told that it won't be easy and we will go through challenges, but at the same time, if we will insist, we will succeed. It is already for 73 years that the state of Israel became not only the only Jewish state in the world that cares for the security of the entire Jewish people, but also became a source for pride for all of us in its development and its great contribution to humanity. And we all pray that each one of us will continue to see in its own personal contribution to the society the fulfillment, our responsibility and commitment, and do all what we can to be a source of light, value, and kindness. In the last weeks, we ran different conversations with the Jewish communities and Jewish organizations in Europe, individuals and groups, and I have to express and emphasize our great appreciation to the way Jewish communities deal with current situation and the mutual responsibilities among the community and outside the communities. But unfortunately, also during this time of the coronavirus, we do witness different kind of anti-Semitism all around Europe and anti-Israel, as it can be seen. And unfortunately, since for already a long time, anti-Semitism became an excuse, and actually it's expressed more as anti-Israel. We are so happy that Minister Hanegbi agreed to be with us and talk to us today. I would like to ask Tal Rabina, who is the director of the strategic of the European Jewish Association and the Israeli director of the Israeli Office of Europe-Israel Public Affairs, a person that himself is an example for its commitment for Israel and the Jewish people, to share with us his own thoughts and present and introduce the minister. Mr. Rabina, the floor is yours.
Of communities and organizations, and we are especially very happy and thankful to Minister Tzachi Hanegbi, as Alex introduced in the beginning, the Minister of Regional Cooperation, Agriculture and Rural Development. And all of us here in Europe and Israel are thanking you, Minister Hanegbi, for taking this time to speak with us in this very special and I might say different Yom Haatzmaut. For many friends from the various communities and organizations Israel supporters and Israel lovers across Europe whom might not have any forward opportunity to meet Minister Hanegbi. I will just say that Minister Hanegbi, Tzachi, is a prominent Israeli politician, a national security expert, and a member of the Likud party. He served as Minister of Justice, Minister of Internal Security, Minister of Intelligence and Nuclear Affairs, and a minister in the Prime Minister office supervising Israel's intelligence agencies, Mossad and Shin Bet. Minister Hanegbi, the floor is yours, and afterwards I hope you will have the time to answer our European friends' questions. Tzachi, please. Daphna, can we have Tzachi? Can we have Minister Hanegbi?
Do you hear me?
We can hear you, not seeing you yet. I hope it will be okay in a minute. Yeah, now we can see you as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Tal. I thank you and I thank everybody for this initiative. I'm happy for it because, as you know, we are stuck in our homes. We don't have anything special to do. So having this Zoom meeting is the highlight of Yom Haatzmaut for me here. And all of you are connected to Israel. You have families in Israel. I'm sure you spend much time in Israel. So you know that Yom Haatzmaut, the Day of Independence in Israel, is not only a national opportunity for celebration. It has to do with every family feeling that this is a holiday that we are all part of. Unlike Chagim that we celebrate about events that happened centuries ago or thousands of years ago, the independence of Israel is being achieved every day, literally. So we are all in a situation where we believe that this is our duty and responsibility to keep Israel strong and safe and independent. And our parents did it in their time. My mother and father both served in the Israeli underground, Lechi, Lochamei Chilut Israel, fighting against the British occupation, and believing that one day they will be able to live in a free state. Thank God it happened. I had the privilege of serving in the IDF as a paratrooper and fought in the Lebanon War. I have 4 boys. 3 of them already went to the army, had to go through wars in Gaza. And so it's a family event, not only a national one. This is where I'll stop my introduction because I don't have to lecture you about the Day of Independence. It's part of your life and roots and history. And I'll be very happy to elaborate on any issue that you would like me to relate to. Thank you.
Alex, will you take the floor and manage this talk, please?
With pleasure. Thank you for your opening remarks, Minister. It's really, really great to have you with us at such a difficult time for Israel in the middle of coronavirus, and also, you know, I mean, it's probably the first time since the state was formed that Independence Day is very much behind closed doors. So we appreciate you taking time out of your extremely busy ministerial schedule to come and talk to us and allow us to celebrate with you. Minister, we have a number of communities with us, and I was wondering, I would like to invite one of the communities in Europe, which was particularly hard hit, as I'm sure you've been following in Israel, was the Roman community and the community in Italy. We have the president of the Jewish community of Rome with us. So I'd like to invite Ruth to say a few words. And Ruth, if you have anything you'd like to ask the minister as well, now would be a good time. Ruth, I'm going to unmute you. Ruth, the floor is yours.
Chag Chag Ha'atzmaut Sameach lekulam. First of all, this is very important because it's a particular day today. It is important to remember that we must continue to be happy for this extraordinary miracle that Israel represents from 72 years. Thanks for the opportunity to speak with you and to speak with the minister and to represent how is the situation now in Rome. That, as you know, is another moment for all of us, for our families, for our students, for the community as well. But at the same time, we are continuing to be Jews proud and close to Israel as in the past, in a virtual, in a different way. I participate today at a fantastic party with the schools, with the students, together in a virtual way, but together and close one to the other. We heard yesterday the shofar from the synagogue and the prayer, and this is also very important to continue and maintain. I have not specific question at the moment. I know that Israel is moving its forces to sustain and ensure to all of us to continue our mission. And this is very important because the situation is very, very critical. No more than this I want to add at the moment. I thank you really, I appreciate your work also as EJA, and I'm proud to stay with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a question for Ruth, if it's possible. How many victims did the Jewish community suffer from in this corona crisis in Italy?
Almost 20 in all Italy, because we had the most of the died in Milano, as you can imagine. All the North Italy was is suffering a lot. Till yesterday, the last one was died in Milano. In Rome and in south of Italy, center and south of Italy, the situation is a little bit better. We had more than 30 positive and 3 died in Rome. One of these was a young woman. Sorry. One of these, she was a young woman of 40 years old, and Alexia Pavoncello, Zichrono Livracha. And as you can imagine, it's a terrible situation. Also, because it's impossible to do funeral, to stay close with the families, and is dramatic.
She was married in the same week.
Yes. For this, I'm sorry, but I wanted to remember her name.
Okay, Ruth, thank you for that. And yeah, we can only imagine how difficult it's been. I mean, here in Belgium, it's been bad, but we look at Italy and we know that it's how bad it could have been. And so thank you for your fortitude. Thank you for your strength. We're also joined, if I may, moving slightly higher up to a country which maybe hasn't been affected as much, but has certainly had a long and proud history of Judaism. We're joined by the president of the Jewish community of Vilnius, Simonas Gudavicius. Simonas, are you able to speak, sir?
Magazin und auch sonst bin ich ja Stellvertreter und ja, ein bisschen gut bei Antisemitismus. Ich habe jetzt eigentlich eine Videokonferenz mit so einer europäischen Organisation. Antisemitismus, Zukunft der Juden.
Okay, sorry. How are you, sir? Thank you.
I believe when people were talking.
Ich bin skeptisch. Ich meine, mit Corona weiß man nicht, aber
now I can talk.
Now you can talk, Simona. Sorry about that.
First of all, Minister and everyone else who is gathered here today, I would like to wish happy Yom Haatzmaut. You know, sometimes the distance is becoming bigger and bigger. People cannot go out from their homes to celebrate. But I think this year the celebration is special because even though we cannot be close one to another physically, we are becoming even stronger, closer one to another emotionally, and etc. You know, used to be the Jerusalem of North. So I just wanted to use the opportunity to connect not only one Jerusalem from the North to the real Jerusalem in Israel, but also to use this connection to connect everyone. Because we Jewish people, our strength is being, connected and being, one with another. And I hope, even though this Yom Haatzmaut is different than any other Yom Haatzmaut, we will go out from this year with new lessons, with new things that we learned. We are a small Jewish community. We used to be big, but we are a small Jewish community of 3,000 people. But nevertheless, I wanted to use this opportunity to say to the minister and to send it to all the people in Israel, that even though we live in Lithuania, we are in Lita, we always are with Israel, and Israel is always in the middle of our heart. We proudly sing the Hatikva today with the children in our Jewish school. We will sing it in the evening with the members of our Jewish community. We mourned about the soldiers yesterday. So I just wanted to use this opportunity to say how much I'm proud to be a part of this Zoom meeting, not as a meeting itself, but to be a part of our one mishpoche. My mother tongue is Yiddish, and I know there are not so many people that speak Yiddish, but I want to finish it with saying that seid gesund und stark und afzuloches alle sonim. All the viruses will disappear, but we Jewish people and also other good people will remain strong and will be only stronger after all these problems. So it was not a question, I just wanted to congratulate. So maybe I'm sorry if someone misunderstood the...
Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Simonas. If I may as well, briefly, I'm just going to do a very, very short sort of tour around Europe, and then we'll open up a discussion, because one of the things that I'm particularly interested in discussing as well is how communities across Europe have been dealing with anti-Semitism as a result of this virus. Because, Minister, I'm sure you're aware, there has been an uptick in some of the old libels against us as Jews, such as, I mean, in France there were images of a French minister poisoning a well. We've started to see in Hamburg, of all places, yellow stars on public transport and other such. But before we get to that, I'd just like to ask, if I may, Thomas Stern from Bratislava, one of the smaller countries in Europe, but an important one nonetheless, to give his perspective of how things have been in Bratislava, and countries like Slovakia and the Czech Republic have been at the forefront of containing the epidemic, and they seem to have done it well. Perhaps you can share your experience and what it's been like for the Jewish community there, Mr. Stern. Can you do that?
Yes, hello. Yom Haatzmaut Sameach lekulam, first of all. Hello, Minister, dear colleagues. Thank you for being part of this interesting group at this very important day for the whole Jewish community worldwide. In Slovakia, we are, in comparison with Italy, as I heard the sad news, we are comparatively well off. The government shut down the life, I think, in precaution measures in time. So we are not suffering higher numbers of casualties. Until now, it's like 15 people who died. Fortunately, despite of this sad number, because every casualty is a sad thing, but the community is well off. we were able to distribute in the very first week of the situation all the necessary masks and respirators to the needed people, so to the Holocaust survivors, ill and sick people, to shut them down at their homes. So all precautions, I think, which were possible to be done, were done in time. We are not over with the situation, but I think we are well prepared. But we will see in a few months' time how far we are and what if we were successful. And I wish to the Italian Jewish community and all the other communities who are here and not even attending this discussion, who are suffering now from the crisis, all the best. We are thinking of them in our prayers and on a daily basis. And we are a small community, but if there is a chance how to help, and I think this is a great basis coming out from this crisis, that the cooperation between the communities has to improve and increase. And this platform, I think, is a great beginning to do so in the future. So thank you for inviting me here to this event. As I said to the host, I have to leave earlier because the live is going on. I'm now going to a community meeting where we are preparing some other events, which are mostly online. Just to tell you, we are a community of 500 people, previously of a community of 15,000 before the war. One of the most important communities in Central Europe with the great yeshiva. This is all gone, but the Jewish life persists and is going on, and we are trying to maintain it and develop despite of the crisis. So thank you very much once again. Thank you, Minister, and all the greetings from Bratislava, or Pressburg, as it was called, to Israel and to all the other communities in Europe and worldwide. So all the best, and thank you for inviting me.
Mr. Stern, much appreciated. Minister Hanegbi, can I, before we go to other communities, it would be wonderful to hear from you as to what the situation is as of today in Israel, in terms of some of the countries, as we heard so far, like the Czech Republic, Austria, will come to Germany shortly, are slowly starting to come out of it. Others are still dealing with problems, tentatively coming out of lockdown. How are things in the country that we all love, our dear Israel? How are things there, Minister?
Thank you. Thank God the Prime Minister and the government made the right decisions at early stages. At the beginning of February, we found out that things are getting very problematic in various places, especially China. So we were the first country in the world to stop the flights from China and from Asia. Then we became the first country in the world banning flights to come from all over the world, including Europe and the United States. We were the first country in the world after China and after the Hubei region in China to make a decision that nobody can leave his home more than 100 meters. And thank God those decisions, even though they were harshly criticized at the beginning and were described as hysteria and paranoia and panic and unjustified, because they are practically ruining our economy and causing a lot of suffering to millions of people. Still, the result was very, very, very good. Now, it's the first day, really yesterday, that we have more people that recovered from Corona than people who are sick. Altogether, there are like 8,000 people who recovered and 7,000 people are still in various stages of Corona. Most of them, 97% of them, are very light symptoms or nothing at all. We have 99 people who are under, problematic situation, unlike 139 several days ago. So altogether, not only the curve was flattened, but obviously we are seeing the end of this wave. And now the economy will be given more and more chances to get on its road once again. We open all the shops of the streets. We are opening schools next Sunday, only for young kids from 6 years old till 10. All the others are studying through Zoom and other such technologies. And I believe that we will have to wait and see what are the results of the fact that we opened the economy once again. And if we see in 2 weeks, 3 weeks that things are not changing and they are still on this very, very controlled situation, we will be able to consider other decisions. Altogether, we have 210 people died. It's of course tragic for each family and for each individual, but we have managed to contain the pandemic and we are very satisfied with the results so far.
Okay, and Minister as well, I'm sure it's a question a lot of us have, because I know personally I usually try and get to Israel over Pesach, and obviously that wasn't possible. When do you see likelihood of the airports opening up again and Israel sort of opening its doors to tourists like us?
That's an answer that cannot be given individually by Israel, because it has to do, of course, with all the other countries, with all the other airports, with other flights, companies. They say, I'm not an expert, but they say that this will be the last thing to be opened, is tourism and travel by air, because this is really the cause of the pandemic. The things were immediately spread all over the world due to the fact that people were traveling. So I cannot give you a prediction.
And if I may, just before move away from that topic, it was very, very interesting for me to see. I obviously had a bit more time on my hands, so I was able to check out Flight Tracker, and it did my heart good once when I was just looking over the map of South America, and I saw a couple of El Al planes coming into Lima to pick up people from presumably young Israelis who had gone out after the army to bring them all home. Has there been any uptick or any measurable cases coming out of that? The fact that you brought people back, and has there been any rise in coronavirus as a result of that, Minister?
Well, the first stages of the pandemic, in the first month, 40% of the people who were carriers of coronavirus were people who came from elsewhere to Israel, whether it were tourists or Israelis coming back home before we closed all the borders. Later on, nobody was able to go in, besides the phenomenon that you are mentioning. Israel sent many flights, many El Al flights all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, the South America and Asia, to bring back Israelis who got stuck there. We brought back more than 7,000 Israelis from all over the world. We made sure when they come, they will not go back home, but spend, most of them spend 2 weeks in isolations, in hotels, places that were made especially for them. We haven't seen any special rise due to this exodus of Israelis coming back home.
Okay. Of course, Israel's in a fairly unique situation in that a lot of its borders are are closed. And I was wondering, Minister, if you could share with us just for a couple of minutes what the situation is up in the north and the south from a security perspective. Have things got quieter or have things got more tense, particularly up with Hezbollah on the northern front? I mean, how's the overall security situation in Israel right now?
Well, surrealistically, I can tell you that the only positive ramification of the coronavirus event is that the South became very peaceful. We used to have, as you know, ongoing confrontation with Hamas in Gaza for almost more than 2 years now, since March 2018. And this confrontation evaporated when all of us, including the people of Gaza, realized that they have to face a more problematic monster than the Israelis and the Zionists. So what we see in Gaza is even cooperation in various dimensions between us and the Palestinian Authority. We don't deal with Hamas directly, but through the Palestinian Authority and through the Egyptians, we are trying to help them to contain this pandemic, and so far they're very successful. In the north, we didn't have any big problems in this for a decade already, but we are continuing to make sure that when it comes to Syria, we are not going to witness the entrenchment and the activities of Iran there, trying to take over parts of Syria. So according to foreign sources, as you can read, every once in a while, there is an attack on the Iranian post hold or convoy or infrastructure, altogether very successful. Sometimes we take responsibility, sometimes we are not commenting, but altogether this mission, this red line that we have made clear to everybody that it's vital for us, we are preserving it, and so far so good. That's the north.
Okay. Thank you, Minister. My colleague Tal Rabina would like to jump in. Tal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex. Minister Hanegbi, as Rabbi Margoling emphasized before, during all this very harsh period of time of Corona, due to our mutual responsibility, we try to speak with all communities and organizations. And there are some questions that kept going on, and I would like you, if you please, refer to them. The anti-Semite and BDS movement are using the Corona to blame Israel for not taking care to the Palestinians and giving all kinds of allegations as if, quote, Israel is not explaining about the right behavior to its Arab citizens, etc. Hard to believe, but this is the reality a lot of our friends in Europe are facing. Would you like to refer to those allegations?
Yes, of course. Everybody knows it's lies. It has nothing to do with reality. And those who know it more than all are the Arabs living in Israel and surrounding Israel. We are treating the Arab population here with the way we treat Israel and as a whole, and the Jewish population, and the Christian one, and the Druze and the Bedouins. And we are investing a lot of our resources in making sure that the pandemic is not going to reach Arab cities. We had to close several neighborhoods in Haredic, ultra-Orthodox communities in Israel, like Bnei Brak and Bet Shemesh, and also in Arab villages like Al-Fahim and Deir al-Assad, because we had indications that there is some kind of outburst there. There's no distinction between Israelis and Arabs, and what's interesting is that there are many Arab doctors and many Arab nurses working in our hospitals in the special corona departments. They are much more than their percentage in the population, because this is one of their preferred occupation, is to study medicine and to work in our hospitals, and they do a great job, and they can testify to the fact that they don't treat Jews and Arabs differently. So this is all, of course, the same known labeling and slandering that we are used to through our history. When it comes to the PA authority territories in Judea, Samaria, and Gaza, part of my ministry responsibility, the Ministry for Regional Cooperation, is of course to cooperate with the Palestinian Authority. We're doing it on a daily basis. So do the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Security and all the ministries. We are working shoulder to shoulder with the Palestinian Authority, making sure that they are capable of defending themselves, because the virus doesn't know about ethnic origin or borders. So altogether, we see good results also from our cooperation with our Palestinian neighbors.
Thank you, Minister.